The At Your End Step podcast is brought to you by Comic Town. Check them out at www.comictown.net and search for Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hashtag Goifgate.
And guys, this is episode 90, so we have some time before 100, but we got to start thinking about it. I just wanted to put that up in front, so we know that we're almost there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something, before the show, but we could talk about it.
Yeah,
I think the TV show is going to make it to 100 before we do, unfortunately.
We are definitely have that in our mind. I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but I was thinking about that while driving home today. I was like, man, we're really close.
Kazoos.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but kazoos.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna forget about this, but if I'm really awesome, I will remember and I will buy a kazoo for episode 100.
Are we going to do a kazoo version of the theme song?
Yeah, that would be
kind of like the acapella version that we did.
Gosh, that would be insane.
We're going to have to dig that up, by the way.
That'd be really hard. I'm not doing a clip show. I refuse. Clip shows are terrible because I have to do it.
I mean,
it'd be all like, remember that time Jordan said something really offensive, and then it'd be like edited for content, and then it'd be like, oh well, never mind. I don't know what to do.
I actually forgot about that. That was weird. That's a bad memory to try to have. Anyway, well, we had the largest trading card game tournament happen over the weekend, right? I think that was the record that was actually broken. So not even the largest Magic tournament, but just like trading card game tournament, or even card game tournament, I don't even know, with GP Vegas and along with GP Chiba and GP Utrecht. They were hashtag Make Magic History weekend of Modern Masters 2015.
Oh, and make history it did.
Yes, there was much history made here. Many things that would be talked about for many years to come. Probably not, actually. Probably not. Anyway. So we definitely want to talk about all the things that happened over the weekend, and especially a little bit of this Goifgate controversy that happened, as well as Dave started the show with it, and then we have something over that's going to be coming this weekend that's important to us, which is the Star City Games Invitational here in wonderful, fabulous Columbus, Ohio, that we must prepare for and talk about. And we talked a little bit more about Modern last week, so we're going to kind of dive into Standard this week and then talk about what we are looking to play, maybe some of what the metagame looks like, everything like that. And then we have the Going to Turn segment making a comeback for this episode. Dave has prepped some very exciting questions apparently for us, and Mike and I will duke it out. It probably won't be much of a competition, let's be fair. And then we have our typical wrap-up segment there at the end. So
how you gonna do with the Invitational if you're already conceding to me now? Yeah,
but you're so fiery with your arguments. It's hard to.
It's called passion.
It's hard to muster that up. It's all right.
You're conceding now.
Well, we'll see. I don't know what the questions are. Maybe they'll be hand fed to me and be really easy for me to answer.
I'd be really weird if Dave was actually feeding you questions. I
was gonna say, Morgan, I've totally lost all respect for you.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you for the personal attack on me. Would you like to apologize and say that you're actually making a comment about my decisions and not me?
You'll have to wait until tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. I'll expect it.
I bid $1, Bob.
Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Modern Masters weekend. So, a total of 14,715 players took part in the constructed the GPs over the weekend. So that's across the world. And not to mention anyone that actually just was there to do side events, there to hang out. I know that a lot of these events had very convention-y feels to them, where they had tons of artists and stuff like that. So I'm sure that it could have been maybe close to 25,000 people that actually
celebrated the event.
Yeah, correct. That's a good term for it. Yeah. So now another thing to point out is that none of the other individual tournaments were bigger than GP Vegas 2013.
Yeah, I don't think that means anything, though. I mean, had they decided, they could have just not split this GP, and it would have been one big GP, which blows it out of the water. But because they were all in the same weekend, they all stole players from each other. Yeah. So I don't think comparing it to last year is apt.
Well, yeah, 2 years ago.
Or whatever, I don't care. I told you it wasn't apt.
Anyway, GP Las Vegas obviously was split into 2 events, but it had a total of 7,551 players. GP Chiba had 3,551 players, which is kind of weird. And then GP Utrecht had 3,613 players. So there's a lot of people playing Magic over the weekend. Tell you what. And it was really great because there's just always live coverage on, like no matter where you turned. So
it was like literally 24 hours.
Yeah,
you could just turn it on at any time and see live coverage.
Exactly, which is pretty sweet. I know it started Friday evening, right? Because GP Chiba, because Japan's they live in the future.
Yeah,
judging by all the robots that they have, I've seen many of their documentaries.
They're animated documentaries.
Correct. Big fan.
Mega Man. Oh man.
And then Utrecht, and then finally Las Vegas after that. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then Las Vegas one was covered by WotC, and then Channel Fireball covered Las Vegas 2. And something I did want to know, I was watching Kenji Numatanami's stream today, and he was like, yeah, Channel Fireball actually really wasn't planning on streaming anything, and it was kind of last minute where they had to like scramble everything together. So I was actually like, knowing that, I was kind of okay with like their stream.
With the quality.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that as far as like the actual quality of the stream was fine. I didn't have any like hard times distinguishing things, and then. But I mean, if you had to slap something together really quick,
yeah, he didn't. Yeah, because he made the announcement that he wasn't playing in the event like on like Wednesday.
Yeah, it was really quick.
He kind of slow rolled everybody. He was like, "Yeah, sorry guys, I know you've been waiting for this, but I'm not gonna be able to play this weekend." And then he's like, "Cause I'm doing coverage."
He had to bring back the vest.
Yeah, he was definitely vested up. And I, overall.
Sorry, I missed. There's an invested.
Yeah, there's a
like
vested interest.
Yeah, whatever.
It was there. Just stop for a second. Imagine we made that joke. We'll pause for laughter. All right, go ahead, Mark.
All right, you can edit that in later.
Edited a good vest joke.
Laugh track. Yeah, sure.
No, I meant the vest joke. I edited a good vest joke.
Oh, okay. No, that's disjointed, but that's fine.
You vest do it.
I can't come back with anything. I'm sorry. Anyway, overall, I didn't watch a whole lot of the coverage. I was busy for a lot of the weekend, unfortunately. The majority of the coverage I watched was when we were drafting a Modern Masters 2015 box, and I didn't feel it was that terrible. It obviously wasn't Star City Games coverage, but it never has been. And if you have those expectations, like it's just not going to come true. I did appreciate that they tried to do these little segments, which were interesting and shining different lights on different aspects of the Magic community, which I felt was pretty interesting. In all honesty, they did a lot of like pseudo funny things where Kenji Sumura popped out of a box of booster packs, which was interesting, but whatever, sometimes you just got to do weird stuff. I mean, Mike and I are both fans of Tim and Eric, and we can't actually judge anyone for doing anything
true.
weird.
This is true.
So, Dave, I'm sure you have some opinions about it.
Yeah, my favorite was, or my favorite like extra segment that they did was definitely the sushi draft.
Oh yeah, sushi draft.
It was
inspired,
absolutely unreal. And if you didn't see it, 8-man sushi draft. Timed in, called by a judge, everything you might expect, complete with commentary from Rich Hagon and Nate Price. So
fairly impressive, in all honesty. I don't think I could comment on people drafting sushi for.
It's so knowledgeable, like he did.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was fantastic. You can find you can find it on YouTube. So
yeah.
I watched no coverage, and honestly, this is I think I said I watched one draft, but this isn't anything against any of the coverage. Just Modern Masters or not, limited GPs don't really just appeal to me, and I don't like the set very much in the first place. So there's nothing about this that was like, man, can't wait to go watch it. I felt bad that I wasn't there. I will say that. Like I saw enough people on even my Facebook feed who was just like, here's pictures from this, and I'm doing this, and I'm just like. Yeah, this is jealousy. This is what this is. But as far as watching it, I really didn't have any care.
Yeah. Speaking of pictures, they had definitely had Joey Pasco.
Yeah, he was on the event staff taking some photos, which is pretty awesome. It's good to see like him still, continue to be a part of the community and actually be able to take something he does professionally and bring it into there. So that's pretty awesome. I hope that they get him to do it for more GPs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought it was noticeably I don't know. It was definitely like an improvement over what they normally do for their, photo coverage of GP.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're going to have one of the, biggest events ever, I would imagine you probably have to step up a lot of things.
Right. But yeah, I actually did watch a decent amount of the coverage. I normally don't watch the the live drafts, but I actually watched a lot of those. It was interesting. I think this particular limited format is of more interest to me than just a normal draft format.
Yeah, I mean, with this format, it does feel the decks do feel more constructed, just for the sheer fact that the power level is ticked up a notch. You do have a lot of powerful cards as well as a lot of redundant cards that help form the archetypes when they're drafting. And so when you see these decks get drafted and then you see the games actually getting played, it feels less of a feel bad limited format.
Right. I will say one thing that was this was really to be expected, but one thing that was like slightly disappointing was that when I watch coverage, I want to see a lot of like the big name pros kind of facing off. But with GPs of this size, so rarely are you going to get like, a marquee matchup of two players that are still in contention at that point. You know what I mean? So there were a lot of like people that you've never heard of playing, which is fine. And again, that's to be expected. But, so I would have liked to see, more pros, I guess. It would have been more interesting to me anyway.
I mean, for the most part, they still rose to the top. When you're talking about top 8, you had for events that were almost 4,000 people apiece. Both top 8s had some pretty impressive names. I think I saw like Pat Cox said on Twitter like that they essentially like team Upper Deck or whatever, or
Ultra Pro.
I don't know why I said Upper Deck. That's baseball cards. My apologies. Team Ultra Pro like tested like it was a pro tour. Which he said may have been the wrong call, seeing as like how, there's so much variance in a 4,000 player tournament, but it was impressive to see that pay off for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really interesting watching even Ben Stark. He ended up top 8ing in the Vegas #1, I guess, but you kind of got to see him go through. He had a couple feature matches. You got to see him draft, and obviously he's one of the best limited players in the world. So I thought that was pretty cool that they did that. One thing that was really kind of awkward was so they split the Vegas GP into 2, right? And #1 was kind of the main one that WotC was covering, and Channel Fireball was kind of in charge of doing #2. But it kind of felt like
there's a joke there somewhere. Someone else make it. It's fine.
But yeah, like Channel Fireball's coverage was not the best.
No, it was #2.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say.
I'm not going to say that. Like you said, if it was short notice, I didn't know that.
Right.
But if it's short notice, it's kind of all right. That's fine. Like at least we had something. You know what I mean? But you really didn't hear too much about. There was really no crossover. Like I would think, like even on, in WotC's coverage, maybe they would talk about some of the more known players that are doing well on the other side. But it really was its own GP.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of awkward because. It kind of reminded me of the Invitational or GP Richmond when Morgan, you were like sectioned off into your own.
Oh yeah,
like there was no video coverage of that section of the GP.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, you're over there. Yeah, you go.
Well, I mean, I imagine that some of that has to be to kind of coerce people into actually watching the GP Vegas #2 coverage. And encourage them to actually tune into that stream. If I'm going to get highlights from, Team 2 from on Team 1 stream, then maybe I don't switch over. So that could be it. I mean, I think it would have been interesting. So let's say that WotC did take over the coverage and then had staggered the start times of the tournaments so that you could always switch off in the live area. So you'd always have at least you would cut down on the time that you would be without people to cover. Now, you would still need 2 separate teams, I would think, but you could just switch off the streams at that point in time. I don't know how technically difficult that could be, but it would have been nice for them to kind of be able to actually bounce back and forth between the 2 coverage teams more easily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame WotC for not doing both at all. I mean, they're already stretched. They had 3 teams across the world doing coverage, so that is totally fine. It just, to me, it felt like the Vegas #2, GP was like, that's like the forgotten one. Like, I feel like I don't even know the guy's name that won. It was kind of, swept under the rug almost a little bit. I don't know. It just didn't feel as important to me. So
It wasn't.
And maybe that's something that
Sorry, that's really mean.
they can look into potentially in the future. But I thought it'd be really cool for them to just be like, okay, we're always going to try to have Magic on, which they did, but make it more unified.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting being able to like kind of channel surf. Magic tournaments, like other than just SCG and WotC, it was like you actually had 3 going at one time.
And you had Jerry Thompson streaming throughout most of it too, so you just had
a
plethora of options.
Yeah,
most certainly.
It was very interesting.
I am sad they missed out on the chance, and a lot of people asked for this, and I know it would be difficult, but they still should have had the 2 Vegas winners play, even if
that would have been awesome.
Like I don't know what they could have done for it. Obviously, that they didn't draft against each other, whatever. It'd just be like, all right, here it is. Ultimate winner.
Bragging rights. I don't know.
I think the real tragedy.
Winner gets a foil. Wait, that's not.
Oh.
The real tragedy is the guy that won GP Vegas number 2, Scott Markison. He actually won the bigger of the 2 GPs, but I feel like that's getting talked about less than number 1. So.
To be fair, Ron Lewis isn't getting a lot of press either.
No,
and that's not really his fault. Congrats to both of you guys, because honestly, you're gonna all be overshadowed by this, Goif Gate or whatever.
Yeah.
But you guys actually, to get a little corny, you guys really did make Magic history, and that's really impressive. And you get to keep that and keep your trophy, and people can go. Granted, you can't sell your trophy for $15,000.
No,
but you'll because of that, you'll always have it.
But it's probably worth way more than $15,000 to them.
Hashtag integrity. Hashtag game. No, but so serious. It's like you definitely shouldn't feel bad that you're like.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty of things in this game that you
feel
can
bad,
win, and no one's going to like. But you guys now in the Pro Tour and like get to do a number of things, so it's pretty awesome. And I'm talking to them like they're listening, but
yeah, I think like Aaron Lewis is friends with people who are in the Madison crew.
Yeah,
he was playing with the P9 sleeves and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So,
well, your girlfriend did give Sam Black one of our cards, so
that's true.
Maybe he knows about us through Sam Black and is listening right now.
Yeah, because Sam Black totally didn't just like throw away that card.
Yeah.
Later on, I'm sure.
No, thanks Sam and Justin Cohen. And Aaron Lewis. We appreciate your listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. We super appreciate it. It's awesome. Anyway, so let's discuss some more winners here. GP Chiba was won by Yuki Matsumoto, and he drafted the Blue-White Artifacts in the top 8, and then we have 2 former world champions. Champions. Junya Ianaga, excuse me, and then Katsuhiro Mori were also in the top 8.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah,
like I remember that one from like a long time ago. I was like, oh man, so still good apparently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then GP Utrecht was won by David Vergoni, playing 4-color. Now, I actually saw that being a very popular draft archetype, 4 to 5 color, throughout all of the GPs. So, it was for Modern Masters 2013 as well, was fairly popular. So, I have yet to be so brave as to draft that in Modern Masters.
I did it once. It was okay.
Yeah, it would just, most of those decks look like piles. Mine would actually literally just be a pile of cards. So I'm going to avoid that. And then we already talked about the 2 GP Vegas winners. Now for GP Vegas 2, we had Sean McLaren and Pedro Carvalho show up in the top 8. And then in GP Vegas 1, we had Ben Stark and Pascal Maynard. Yes.
And Maynard. James Keenan.
No, I can't stand that guy.
I don't beat a GP. Took a foil going.
So this is speaking of Pascal, Maynard James
Pascali.
Stop saying we've thrown too many names at him. He's breaking, guys. He's breaking.
I can only take so much. So, let's kind of roll into the Goif Gate situation. I don't really like this trend of our generation
naming
gating things. I'm not a
tailgating, Goif gate. Wait, that's the kind of gating.
I'm not appreciative of it.
Let me tell you, as a Patriots fan, I'm sick of all these gates. All right, we just got to stop the madness. All right,
stop cheating. There's a simple way to stop getting gate named. Quick aside. There's a quick way to stop getting gate named after your team. Stop cheating.
We'll talk about that off air.
Anyway, so this situation basically can easily be summed up during the live top 8 coverage. This is Pack 3, correct?
Pack 2.
This is Pack 2.
This is Pack 2. Okay. So Pack 2, Maynard opens foil Tarmogoyf. Foil GP stamped Tarmogoyf, which I feel is cruel. The judges open those packs that are like, well, this is going to be something.
Let's make sure the guy on camera gets this one.
Or it's like, hey,
it was a little too perfect.
Hey, are we supposed to be removing foils from the packs in the top 8 draft? No. Obviously, this is a difficult choice. So he was in red-white. And there is a few, like he had a Sun Spear Shikari and then a Burst Lightning, which most people are harping on, as well as this. Now, you are at a times draft. You only have so much time to actually analyze your picks and think about what you're going to take. So he's basically a minute to really, think about what he's going to do here. And he ends up taking the foil Goyf. Now, once this happened, many well-known Magic personalities were very derisive and decided to post their...
Derisive is a kind word.
I'm trying to be kind.
Why? They weren't.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're better than them.
A number of them were outright rude, and for a group of people that are claiming, their claim was professionalism, integrity to the game, acted like real... Man, we censor ourselves now.
Yeah, we do.
You could say jackasses.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, sure. We're PG-13, right? Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness, a number of them made some, and like there's a few very specifically. Huey Jensen came out very strong when Turnwald, Reduke, LSV. You put on this list. He didn't come out that strong against it.
No, I wouldn't say he came out strongly, but
Matt
he was
go
certainly against
figure.
it.
And just and honestly, the one I don't know if you saw this. Josh Layton was one of the ones who like he was like, have respect for the damn game, and like was tweeting this. I'm just like, whoa, like what are you talking about here? Like this. I mean, we're going to talk about this idea of. I think it's ridiculous. I thought this reaction was ridiculous, and I believe you guys are in a similar situation. I mean, yes. Dave's
for the most part, this reaction was very overblown, in my opinion, for what actually happened.
I went through, and I actually checked on this because apparently I'm really sad, but a number of the pros that came out and criticized this pick said nothing when people were getting kicked out for cheating. I want you to understand that they actually reacted more to this than a person who is going to get a spot in Worlds for cheating.
Yeah. Or not to mention that, all the people that were outspoken about this have definitely, drawn in.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about the most, because Caleb Durr was the one who's mentioned that. Like, if you're going to play the game of, like, integrity of the game, because so here's the argument for this, if you weren't familiar or you've managed to stay away from this, and I'm sorry we're explaining this to you, because it makes me sad that you have to know this, but these people cared this much. But their argument is that essentially... Are you trying to pause me right now?
No, I just want to set this up because I don't know if you're going to say this or not.
Go ahead.
But a big part of where this is coming from is that Pascal Maynard is very close to the top GP spot for Worlds.
Yes, I was going to say these things.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Also really close to Platinum.
Right.
And the idea is that, most of the time they take the foils out, as Morgan said, in these, because that's not the point. They replace it with a common. Modern Masters is literally the only place you could have had this happen. So the idea is that the money should not matter in this draft. You should always be. This is the perfect example of making the pro play, that old argument. And the integrity of the game would suggest that you make the best pick to try and win the tournament. All right, and a lot of the pros that got on this bandwagon of like, oh yeah, like I don't play for money, I don't do this, which is just wrong. Maybe you do enjoy the competition, but it affords you a lifestyle. So you do play for money, and I don't care how you want to spin it or whatever. But additionally, if you've ever drawn, like Morgan said, drawn a match, and Caleb Durr was the one who said this, oh, let's draw for cash, let's draw for points. Have you ever conceded to someone to get them into a top 8? Have you ever dream crushed somebody so a friend can get to top 8? Right? Have you ever tried to manipulate the standings based on what you're doing, other than just sitting down and playing your best 2 out of 3 game of Magic? If you've ever done that, and every pro has, and I have, and all of us in this table have, then you cannot get up there and scream integrity of the game. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't pretend like you're some high and mighty ridiculousness. Not to mention the fact that, and Craig Westcott came out and said this, and I'm not going to speculate too much, but Pascal Maynard to continue traveling needed money. Pure and simple. And the way that the GP prize structure is, and that's a whole nother conversation, but he would have to have won the tournament essentially to get higher EV than he ended up with. Could he have won more games with the Burst Lightning? Maybe. Okay, it's very possible. You can make it like, oh, well, his opponent, he was a 2 or what? It's like, yeah, but so then you're assuming he has Burst Lightning in hand. Like what? And how did how did his opponent get to 2? Did the Burst Lightning help get him to 2? Like what are you actually arguing here? Because it doesn't work. It's not like the Goyf is in his deck and he could just swap it out for the Burst Lightning. So.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people came out and they were trying to come out with like EV calculations. His deck is this percentage
based on the garbage math I just invented.
Yeah, I think that's missing the point, though. I think, like you said, like with these pros that kind of came out against this or were against it, not because of it, made his deck worse or whatever, but it's more like almost like attacking his character. It's just like, well, this guy is obviously more about money than actually trying to win or trying to qualify for Worlds or obtain platinum and stuff like that. And I just think that's unfair. Like, unless you're in his shoes, in his seat, you don't really know. And all these people, of course, were not in the top 8.
No, right. And I think the other thing, and I said this to you, Dave, is think of the scenario when you're a little kid. Like, and I'm going to use a sports metaphor here. So, but like, what is every the little kid like? Oh, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs. You know what I mean? Oh, and you hit a home run, right? Or like seconds on the clock, and you throw a touchdown, or the same thing here. Like, this is top 8 of a draft. The only draft format where you could ever have foils, and what do you open up? The most expensive card that you could legally open up. Like, no one's opening up power or anything right now. You know what I mean?
And like, on camera.
and like, if you listen to the way the commentators like reacted, like, oh my gosh, it's like this is a romantic moment. Okay, this is that like oh my gosh, like what if I opened this Goyf here? You know what I mean? And instead of it being something really cool and honestly hashtag magic history, they sort of destroyed that, and it's really frustrating because had it been a person who was already locked up for platinum or something, they probably wouldn't have cared. Or if it was somebody who's a no-name who they have no idea, they wouldn't have cared either.
Yeah,
it was the perfect storm, and it's frustrating for Pascal Maynard because he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, think about it if like he wasn't being recorded. Think about if he wasn't on the draft viewer, like what would have happened then? Like,
see, I talked about this. I think it still would have been a big story to come out of this, even if it was off camera, because you definitely would have heard about it. Like, they would have talked about it on coverage.
Sure, but you wouldn't have been able to see him agonize over the picks and actually have a card to compare it to. All right, I disagree. I don't think it would have been nearly as big of a deal if he would have been on the draft viewer.
I mean, there are a lot of stories from back in the day before they had these live drafts and all that.
Sure, stories, but would have become this. I don't think it would have become this.
I don't think it would be as sensationalized, I guess would be the word, as it has become. Obviously, like you can go on YouTube right now and see the replay of it and find it for yourself.
But with interesting sound effects, if you so desire.
Yes. Something about cash registers.
The cash register was actually unreal.
I think it still would have been a big story, maybe not as big as it has become. It's just kind of become this crazy thing, like. But
he responded to it. And he even agreed. Like here's all class, classy guy, Pascal Maynard. I don't know the guy personally. Like, I think I met him before. Like, obviously at this point, it's like acquaintance through a friend of an acquaintance. You know what I mean? Like when you're talking about Magic players like that. But I mean, the guy flat out said that he actually agrees with the point the pros are making, and I think that point is valid. The integrity of the game, but. You can't pretend like this isn't the real world. You know what I mean? And this is an event that he paid his money to play in. This isn't. People try to compare it to, like, Dave, even you try to make the analogy for like a sports analogy, like a team sport analogy, and it doesn't work because there's no one else who has a vested interest in this. It actually affects no one else.
Yeah, I think I can see the point that Huey and Raptor were trying to make. Like, it's like if you were trying to translate this to sports, it'd be like an athlete taking money over staying with a team that can contend for championship. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, do you really want to win, or do you just want to try to make the most money in the short term, I guess. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, like you said, like, he actually does need the money. He isn't. He doesn't have the sponsorships that some of these other guys, where they just get all the cards handed to him before Pro Tours.
Actually has to acquire his own cards.
He's 22 years old. Like, think about I mean, we're all older than 22 at this point. Like, think about when you were 22. How much money did you have? Did you have enough where you could maybe travel around the world playing GPs?
Yeah, dear Lord, at 22, a $300 Magic card to me would have been like insane. It's like awesome. This will pay for some of my college textbooks. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah. It's just so that's like I was saying. Like unless you're in his shoes, you can't really. I feel like it's really unfair to judge him.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And he said he was very classy about it. He agreed that for at that point it doesn't matter. And like I said, he had 45 seconds to do it, but he is selling it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, like, he did obviously post something on Facebook, like you said. And the best thing that I think he put in his post is something that Martin Hughes has said, and he said. The best way to kind of break it down that he asked himself, would he have paid $500 to have a Burst Lightning in his deck? And I guess the answer that he came to is no.
I mean, that's fair. And that number is actually horribly skewed.
Yes, correct.
So he decided to put it up on eBay, and he said that he would give half of whatever he made on it to Gamers Helping Gamers, which, a quick aside about that, if you've not heard of this charity, it was started by John Finkel, among others, and it is a charity for, as it's described, it's essentially for that slacker gamer that you know who's really smart but may not have the drive, and John Finkel's literally like, write an essay, tell me how you play Magic, and I might give you money for college. And it's a really cool program. You should go take a look at it, and that's what he's going to be donating half of this to. Now, half, when we first initially thought about this, was it's worth like $300, but there's a story attached to it. So when they first put it up, it was up to like $500-600. Then about halfway through the day, like $2,000, which was like, oh my gosh, like that's insane. Like that's money for for Maynard. That's a lot of money for charity. Dave, what's it at now?
It is currently at $16,100.
Yeah. Oh, and who's the high bidder here? Oh, big underscore tears. Wow, Mike. Wow.
Oh, wow. Hey,
We're really going all out.
Log off my account right now. This is fraud.
No. We don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, there was some worry about some people driving up the price on this that were not intending to pay.
Yeah, not legitimate.
However, I will say the high bidder right now has almost 3,000 feedback.
Well, previous high bidder. We were looking at it previous.
Currently. Unless it just changed.
I think it just changed. Maybe not. Never mind.
But, I mean, that, I guess, lends more legitimacy to it,
yes.
I would say.
Yes. With eBay, your feedback is typally how you live or die. But
wow, yeah. So like
I
said,
really dramatic all of a sudden.
Sorry.
But yeah, like we said, this is just kind of taking a life of its own. This is insane. But
I think it's pretty funny that he has $5 shipping on it.
What funny is actually the best joke about any of this was BDM saying the shipping is actually non-existent. It is pickup only because Pascal Maynard will never ship this Goyf.
That's a pretty good joke.
Yeah, BDM, thank you for that one. That was perfect. Yeah. It was absolutely perfect. Man, that was so good. But I hope this. I mean, it's got another 6 days, so when it hit 2,000, I literally thought like, okay, this is cool. I don't think this is going to go up very much. I mean, like, I thought that would be a ceiling. I'm just wrong. I don't know what the ceiling is here.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how high it's gotten, but I'm not surprised about the attention, I guess, of it, because, like you said, it has a story attached to it, and this is the only one in the whole world.
Yeah, I definitely, there's been more than a few, at least the threads I've seen on Twitter, there have been a number of people, prominent cubers, I will say specifically, like Tristan Gregson was one of the guys who was doing, and I don't know about their income. I mean, okay, I was going to make a theft joke, but
that's
whatever prices.
I always think about that too, though. When I see him on Twitter, I'm like, you're all right, whatever.
Yeah, but like a couple people who are known for like being cube enthusiasts, like if you're the person, like think about like like Eric Klug. If you ask Eric Klug right now, like what Goyf would you want in the Pro Tour cube? This is the Goyf you want in the Pro Tour cube. No, I don't think Eric Klug's spending $16,000. I mean, I could be wrong. Go ahead and shoot a message on Facebook or something. I don't know.
Hey, are you the current high bidder?
But in all seriousness, like I think that people forget like how the vanity projects these are, right, Dave?
Absolutely.
And I could say the same thing. I mean, but the battle box much lower scale. But there's some. I mean, if you're gonna foil out your vintage deck or pimp it in whatever way you can, like who's to say a cube enthusiast isn't going nuts for this right now? Not to mention the fact that, and I have no idea here. I'm just speculating, absolutely. So take this with every grain of salt. But I could see this getting pushed up by even like members of WotC themselves, like as a chance to like donate to a charity and like sort of like not coming out and saying like, hey, we're doing this. But I think there's certain members in this community, both working for that company and for anything else, who may use this as a chance to do some real good. And if they do, and this pays and it ships out well, congrats to everybody involved, because that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that the best part about all this is it really started off as like such a negative thing. Like you just had all this negativity on social media surrounding it. And I really think that Pascal just had the perfect response. He's just like, he had a very well thought out response. He's just like, well, here's my stance on it. And, yes, technically Burst Lightning was the correct pick, but I would do it all over again. And, here's what I'm going to do. So it's like, in your face.
Yeah. No.
In your face.
That's great. It's great that this is going to get turned around, and it's going to help people that are far more, in need of financial support for college and things like that. So it's great that money's going to a good cause. Someone's getting money so they can continue pursuing their dreams of traveling and playing Magic, which I think is something we all want. I mean. So, even though initially negative, I'm glad things are turning around on it.
And I do think it's sort of ironic that, and like a number of the pros that have come out even have been very negative about it. Like we've had personal interactions with, and like all my interactions with Reed Duke or Owen Turtenwald have been very positive. Even when he crushed me on camera, Owen was very polite about it. So, but I think it's a little bit ironic that a number of the pros came out and sort of like piggybacked on each other about how this like damages pro players, like their integrity. But I think a lot of them hurt their public image very badly this weekend on something that really shouldn't have. Like should have been very minor, and you could have had a discussion about it or whatever else. But like the vitriol that some of them, and a number of them have come out and apologized, recognized that maybe they're
a little too aggressive.
Yeah, a little too aggressive. But I mean, when you're dealing with the fact that 14,000 players were at the played in the events. Another possible 5,000 to 10,000 people were at the events, plus the thousands of people watching across the world who were, making Magic history, and then the small subsect of pro players, this is the 1%ers, I guess, you know what I mean, are like, oh, this hurts the integrity of the game. Everyone, like, it's a collective Magic community that goes, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, they were mostly, or not all, like platinum pros, and these guys get paid to show up to Magic tournaments. It's like,
and are sponsored by a store that, you know what I mean? Like,
this isn't really the same situation that he's in, but yeah.
So, congrats to Pascal Maynard. I hope your Goif sells for mucho dollars, and Gamers Helping Gamers gets a ton of money and donations, and it just is a positive thing. And I hope one day I get to hear a cool story about this card appearing in a cube or something, and somebody taking it over a card that was much better. like I think that has to be the joke in cube. Like you open up in a pack and you're just like, I have to draft this now, right? Like there's a better card for my deck, but
whatever. Yeah. Who cares?
He didn't win the tournament, but he won the weekend.
Third, right, or something like that. So
yeah, he finished top 4.
Yeah, he almost
number 3 on the charts, but number 1 in our hearts.
Oh,
Pascal
man.
Maynard.
Good job. I hope he listens to that. We mean it.
Can we send him a little? Can we do like an old style cassette? Send him a little mixtape. Like, hey, buddy.
What would be the songs that like buffer it? So song 1, that song end. Like what you think about that? Have it by the end of the show.
Okay, so the first song is definitely "If I Had $1 Million."
Fair enough. All right. Well, think about the end song. And
all right, fair enough.
All right. So, moving away from Modern Masters 2015, moving into this weekend's event, which is the Invitational. As I said, going to be held here at the Columbus Convention Center. Be there, be square.
Whoop whoop.
Yay.
But we are all queued, which is fantastic. I'm surprised. It's surprising.
Me, good stuff. Yay!
That's impossible.
I've tricked a lot of people into thinking that.
A golf clap for you, Dave.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I had to get one in there. Yeah. I never contribute to those. So,
we talked about Modern last week. Now we want to talk about Standard. We've had some time to ruminate, and I feel like I feel very detached from Standard. In all honesty, I haven't actually played a lot of Standard. A lot of the events around here have obviously been Modern because the Open is going to be Modern. So Standard, the last time I played Standard was when we went to Coshocton for
Correct.
which is quite a long time ago. It feels like it's probably been like 3 weeks, but
I mean, in Standard, it's a lifetime ago.
that's true. I also feel like there hasn't actually been a lot of Standard tournaments that have happened.
I mean, there have been a lot of tournaments. Like, yeah, there's there's GPs, but they're all limited. Like, it really has been like a sort of we were so used to having so many deck lists each week, and all of a sudden it's like, hold on. Now, granted, there's also a million Moto deck lists we could have been perusing. So,
I peruse those every day.
Yeah, I mean, we just had Modern Masters Weekend. Before that, we had the SCG Legacy Open, right? So even it's been at least 3 weeks since the last big tournament.
So that's why we basically didn't talk about Standard last week, is because I didn't really know what I kind of wanted to play. I was, stuck between a lot of the big popular decks, the Abzan aggros, the Abzan mid ranges, and things like that. And I just wasn't quite sure what
the Abzan, etceteras,
etc.
I think for sure, like all three of us are very squarely like, like this is what we want to play in Modern. This is what feels good in Modern, and that's also like as much as we've all sort of are meh about Legacy, like that is definitely the bonus to a non-rotating format though, is that once you are comfortable in it, like unless something drastic has really affected the metagame, and you could say Collected Company has or hasn't drastically done anything, like it sort of just made room in a slice of the pie that was already existed, just smaller, but. I think you have that chance to feel more comfortable, and again, we have played a lot of Modern recently, which is nice. So Standard, it's still the same Standard format it was 2 months ago. You can play whatever you want. Some decks are obviously better than others right now, and there's a couple decks that probably are bad, like absolutely bad. But in general, like if you still want to just sleeve up something from a few months ago, you probably could. That's what's scary about it. So I don't know. Have we all made a decision? Like we're going to talk about it today. So we all. I hope so, because we only have a couple days.
Yeah. It's kind of like you either know or you're just gonna bail out last minute anyway.
What's the line from Ruben? Was it the Sultai cards in a binder? So just gonna play Abzan cards in a binder.
Yeah, pretty much. These are my favorite Abzan cards. I put them together into a deck.
Well, I went first for Modern, so I'm not going first for Standard.
All right, that's fine. I have what I played in Coshocton at the IQ was Martyr Dragons, and it still has stuck around as a deck, and I feel like that's still something I'm pretty comfortable with after playing Red, White, and Mardu in previous iterations, playing Martyr Dragons most recently, and the deck felt really good. In all honesty, Storm of the Dragons still a pretty good format, still a pretty good standing. So that's where my heart is right now. Now to actually put this in perspective, this changes every day, but I do have the Magic Online metagame breakdown that I did want to kind of go over, at least like the top 6 decks, which are Abzan Control, Mono Red, Esper Dragon Control, Red Green Devotion, Martyr Dragons, and then Atarka Slime. These are the most represented decks, so the highest percentage of representation, not necessarily the best performing.
Well, right, and also you have to remember that 2 red decks in the top 6 are also skewed by how cheap they are on Moto, and that's always true. And so,
but not to necessarily negate their legitimacy.
No, well,
I still think that those decks are powerful and will be.
No, they are, and they'll be represented. But I don't think it's when you're talking about literally a full third of the pie. I don't like if you looked at a paper metagame, 1 out of every 3 decks is not going to be either mono red or Atarka red. It just isn't going to be that way.
Sure. I would say it's still definitely one of the big 3 you have to prepare for.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Or big 3 to 4.
To 5 to 6 to 7.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you only have so many sideboard slots.
It depends on how many Abzan decks you consider separate decks, and then.
So I feel like if you always have to have some preparation for that deck in this current standard, right?
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like anything shifted other than like Red Green Devotion coming back. I feel like that's something that has not been as well, and Green White Devotion was very popular, and that kind of fell by the wayside, and then there was kind of no Devotion decks that were really popular. But I've been noticing a slight uptick in actual Red Green Devotion showing up, which, saying I'm going to play Mardu Dragons and then knowing that it has an inherent weakness to things that start with Hornet, it's quite it's quite scary in all honesty. So.
Things that end with Ornit and start with
it's more like huh?
Hornet. And I will definitely say I watched you get destroyed by a hornet nest in Coshocton. Like
Yeah, it was
one
awkward.
game where it was just like he just had to keep like looking at it and just being like, I can't do anything.
It's just moat.
It's actually the best.
It's like, man, 3 mana green moat.
Oh no! And then he tried to fly over it, and then the guy was like, cool, I'll command this or so whatever." Or like it was like fight this, and like here are some bees.
Yeah, it was bad.
He roasted it at one point, or maybe it was a different game, but if I got to see roast like 5 damage to my hornet nest.
It's bad. I was not a good place.
All right, so based on that information, Martyr Dragons is what you're looking at.
Currently, yes.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask this: so does it worry you that Foul Tongue Vacation is a lot worse right now than it was, say, 3 weeks ago?
I don't know.
I will say I base this off the evidence that the Ichikawa list that had Shadow Wayfinders and Jerry Thompson's stream with Shadow Wayfinders and a number of articles pushing that card again, even PV pushing that card on a Fireball article last week. That card alone makes Foul Tongue Vacation a lot less palatable. So
yeah, I think the thing about Mardu decks is they're very customizable. I feel like they're second only to Abzan probably. Mm-hmm. So I think you could just not play Foul Tongue Invocation or at least sideboard them if you're really not.
It's possible.
It.
What are you considering for that then? Like, would you, if you're not playing Foul Tongue Invocation as many, are you considering a Rending Volley to make sure you can still kill Ojitize consistently, or like what are you looking at?
So an interesting option that I actually saw on one of the lists online was Mardu Charm. As being sort of the 2-up instead of your Foul Tongue Invocation. It's definitely more awkward against Stormbit Dragon, obviously.
For sure, but it's also pretty sweet against the aggro matches too, or matchups too, because first striking 1/1's instant speed, like that. Those are some blowouts.
Yes, correct. And when, especially one of the more powerful cards in the format still is Hordling Outburst, being able to try and catch up a little bit against that deck, against that card is something that's pretty positive, and it's not completely dead against control because instant speed duress is really good.
I like that. And you're playing how many? Because just like Hooligan's Command, you even have the option to late in the game start buying it back with your
Soulfire.
Your Soulfire Grandmasters, which again, instant speed discard, pretty fun way to lock somebody out of the game.
It's true. It's true. So that is a potential of choice to kind of go to. Yeah.
Nice. So Mardu Dragons from Morgan, and you got to play a deck a fair amount, and I think all of us sitting here have cast Stormbit Dragon and turned it sideways enough times in this format to know that it feels good.
I'm kind of sad that I'm kind of planning on getting rid of them this weekend,
and I feel bad about that because my Stormies have done a lot. They really have.
Yes, they have.
We have some. I feel like I should go take some like grayscale pictures. You know what I mean? Like hashtag filters.
I'll always remember you.
Listen to some Carpenters long ago. But I'm honestly probably gonna get rid of them this weekend.
Yeah, me too. I think as much as I am probably playing Mardu Dragons over the weekend, I think I'm actually going to keep my Abzan cards as the deck that I keep into Magic Origins coming out and things like that. Because now's a good time. Hashtag slight Magic financial advice. Now's a good time to sell your cards.
For
Theros.
Chase Andre's release article this week essentially saying buy, sell, keep. Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of things.
Hey, not everyone has Star City Games Premium. They do give it out enough that everyone actually should have it.
Anybody who wants Star City Premium can get it. I'm sorry, it's not an exclusive club. This isn't Caddyshack. Okay, if you want to own, you know what I mean. If you want to own your own little piece of premium, go pay for it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So Mike and I are going to be selling a lot of our Theros stuff over the weekend. So
I don't have a lot to sell. I'm obviously keeping Thoughtseize and such, but
yeah,
I've got some extraneous temples that I could to turn into a few dollars before they're worth nickels.
I may need those mana confluences back from you
after the tournament.
Even something like mana confluence.
Mana confluences is I think was listed as a hold, and I'd probably hold that card as well.
You just hold on to it,
unless of course you're never planning on playing with it, in which case do whatever you want. But
I don't know.
So all right, so Mardu Dragons from Morgan.
Yep.
Dave.
I am going to keep playing Abzan midrange or control or.
That's
I don't know.
I
feel
it's a mid-range deck.
Yeah, it is mid-range.
You're gonna. So you said you decided on no Raptors.
Right. So the deck that I've been playing for a little while now, I would say probably for the last month and a half, has been just the Abzan list with Fleecemane Lions, Den Protectors, no Raptors, and Elspeths. So it's kind of the just mid-rangey version of it. Definitely not aggro, but can definitely attack in the early turns with the Fleecemane Lions. So it's kind of somewhere in between. I feel like Abzan aggro and like the Abzan like Ichikawa list with the Megamorphs and the Elspeth. So briefly considered playing the Ichikawa list, but I think I actually read Brad Nelson's article on Star City Premium. Hashtag exclusive club. I guess. I don't know.
1%.
He felt like Ichikawa's list it was really good for the time, but now the format is starting to shift away from that.
Essentially called it like self-defeating. Like it's so good that the decks will gun for it, and this is like Abzan like bleeding into each other. Like
right. So I'm just gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with my deck, which is somewhat surprising. I'm really not married to this deck. I haven't had any kind of big results with it or anything like that. Or I just think it's really good.
You probably won't. I don't mean like you're going to do poorly. I think you know exactly. Like in a tournament like this, like you're picking your standard deck. You said you're not married to this deck. You don't really know what you want to do in the format, but you know what you're doing in modern. And modern's first. So like in your mind, you should be able to 3-1 4-0 modern and then 3-1 2-2 standard with a deck that's really 50% against everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a safe pick.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's the deck that I've been playing, so I feel like I could play it decently well enough. Again, I haven't been paying as much attention to standard, but it hasn't really changed too much. All the top decks have basically been the same top decks that we've had for at least a month now or a month or two. So just gonna stick with that. Gonna play a pretty stock list of that style of deck, and just going to roll with that. Like I said, I'm going to hope to make up a lot of my wins in Modern because I'm feeling pretty comfortable, pretty confident in Modern.
Well, if you want to play an interesting Abzan list, I have this Rally the Ancestors list that you can take a look at.
There you go.
Yeah. It did 4-hour daily, so...
full daily.
That makes it tier 1? All right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Invitational for Standard day 1 is 4 rounds. A daily is 4 rounds.
Wasn't there a Modern list for that floating around recently, too? Like a Modern Rally Ancestors list with like it probably. I think it actually played the Birthing Pod combo in it, which is actually hilarious.
Rally the Ancestors in all formats, Dave.
That was my sleeper pick from that set. If you want to go back and listen to that,
time to make it real. Buddy.
Yeah. No, I think really the only. I don't even know if you would call this spicy or not, but the only real card that I would be looking to change would be maybe playing a few Wingmate Rocks in the 75, just because I feel like that gives you an advantage against the other Abzan decks, which I feel like is going to make up a lot of the format.
Which is right. I mean, most Elspeth has been keyed as another like resurgent card recently. Mm-hmm. It's very good against Abzan aggro, so having a couple copies of a card that's pretty good against Elspeth is probably not a bad idea.
Right. Yep.
So,
plus you can caca when you win.
Do you want to borrow Pidgeotto again?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. You did it wrong. You're supposed to say I choose you.
I choose you.
Do you have a Pidgeot?
Oh,
what?
man.
What?
Wow.
I mean, that one's...
Who chooses that over Pidgeotto? Do you understand what Ash and Pidgeotto went through together? The journey they went on?
I don't, actually.
It was a... What is wrong with you?
I think in the show he does eventually evolve with the Pidgeot.
I don't
that's
care.
the one I want.
I don't care.
He didn't catch a Pidgey and involved in Pidgeotto. He got big. He caught a Pidgeotto and he loved him. It was his own pet bird, and he got bird flu or something. I don't know. They were sick. I don't remember what episode that was.
I don't think that's accurate.
They had rice cakes. I remember. Brock made them.
Anyway, Mike, what are you planning on playing for Standard?
All right, so I'm pretty much doing the exact opposite thing of what Dave is doing, where Dave is sort of picking, like I said, sort of a safe pick, steady in the format. I am making a complete metagame call and playing a deck that's probably not a great deck overall, but I think is well positioned right now. I'm playing Bant Heroic. I started testing it late last week, just sort of going through and looking at all these Abzan decks, and sort of on that same Brad Nelson line where all these Abzan decks are beating each other, and they're trying to do it with planeswalkers and mid-rangey creatures like Wingmate Rocks, more Tassigers, playing Shadow Wayfinders to negate sack effects. Like a couple of those decks, it was like, oh, so you're running a couple of Heroes Downfall, some Abzan Charms, and like some Murderous Cuts. Cool. Well, I'm going to play a 1/2 that you can't kill. So, I went 4-0 and drew into first for standard. I actually got the last open trial. So ding, thank you, Comic Town, Glorious Overlords, and Free Value. And it felt really good. I've been testing online a bunch this last week. It's felt very good. This evening, I was up at the Future of Gaming, playing the Abzen matchup, playing this of the Ichikawa list and the Megamorph list. Both were significantly in my favor, at least the list of the way they're being presented right now. Actually talked someone who you were talking to today off of Mardu Dragons. Now, I didn't try to talk him out of it, but he was like watching the deck and then borrowed it from another player there and may have actually switched. So yeah, I think this is a deck overall, and I know like even when I mentioned I might play this, a number of you guys even said like, well, like this is a bad deck, or other people think this is a bad deck, and I don't disagree. I don't think it's the most powerful deck, but I do think that for the metagame right now, it's definitely in a good position. Esper Dragons has been on the decline, and as we just discussed, Foultling of Vacation is not as good.
Oh, so that's why you're trying to talk me out of that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. Crackling Doom's still insane against me, so don't get me wrong. And I'm hoping to not play against Crackling Doom, which is also not really high in the format. Mardu Dragons, is the only deck that's playing it. Is that and in the Esper matchup is really not that terrible either, because that deck still has a hard time beating a 1-drop that comes in under all of its spells. So that matchup's is definitely winnable. The sideboard has to be built for it, but it's winnable. Abzen aggro and a couple of the Abzen, like I said, the Abzen lists that are just playing guys but aren't really doing much with removal. They can't really do much when you start getting a guy. And I have to say, this last week, from Wednesday, Thursday when I started testing this to tonight when I was playing this, these are the first times I've gotten to cast Jarmoka's Command. And that card is the truth.
Yeah, the card's gross.
Every time, like, just playing the Abzen matchup tonight, like the Megamorph / control matchup, like, every time I got to make them sack their Courser while I fought their Raptor with my Hoplite that could no longer have damage dealt to it, and then got to swing, like, I felt like I was cheating. I was like, wait, so you have no blockers left, and I attack. Oh, this feels good. So, and definitely, like, you've already seen, like, a couple of the decks are playing, only like 1 or 2 self-inflicted wounds, just because Satyr Wayfinder is now very popular, so you're not really getting the target you want. So I'm hoping that this is my perfect storm this weekend. I also feel like I can do well enough with my modern deck to be fine, and instead of hoping to sort of steady the storm in standard, I'm hoping to just spike the hell out of it.
I mean, fair enough. I don't blame you there. I mean, the points that you make, I do think that Heroic has really fallen off of people's mindset, and hopefully by the time we release this podcast, no one has time to change their decks. So there you go.
And I think the other thing that's nice about this is the invitational is still a large event, but compared to like an Open or a GP, it's a big enough event, but the players pride themselves on. Not everyone is a great player, but everyone there prides themselves on wanting to be a little upper echelon. So you have less chance of running into the super variant deck. Yeah, mono red will still be there. Not a terrible matchup for Heroic though. Ordeal of Heliod, pretty sweet. But beyond this, like, I think you have less chance of running into some of the weirder, like, maybe not Mardu Dragons, but like Warriors or other random decks where you could just be like, oh, I can't prepare for this. Like
Rally of the Ancestors.
Yeah, I think you can actually, again, sort of assess the metagame and try to fight against it in a tournament like this. So I could be wrong. I could be crying to you next week. But that's what I'm going with. Dangerous choice or not.
I appreciate it. I hope you do well, and hope that I don't get paired against you.
I hope that too, because you have Crackling Dooms and I want to play against them.
Fair enough.
I do admire that. I wish I had the fortitude to do that, but I'm just going to be boring and play Abzan.
I think that's fine too. I mean, I think so. So we have Abzan control / teamer. Grixis Delver. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you.
Teamer.
I have Mardu Dragons and Jund.
Green Black X.
Dear Lord. We're not talking about it. I don't care what you want. No.
I didn't talk about it.
And I'm going to be playing Tron and Heroic. So probably I think I'm going to call mine as the weirdest mix you'll ever see.
For sure.
And hopefully that that mixes it all up.
Gives you an advantage.
Tastes delicious.
It's definitely different than the last time we all played the same standard deck. We all played different legacy decks. Though.
Yeah, we don't trust you anymore, Dave.
Hey, That deck was sweet in testing.
That
Didn't
was
work
sweet in
out.
testing.
Didn't work out.
Wait, why did you not account for Esper?
I don't know. I figured blue black would be more popular.
That's all right. So no, I think and even I think despite playing different decks, I wouldn't say we're not unified here. Like I think we all, maybe I can make the argument I'm not really playing to my strengths, but beyond that, like I don't think this means that we're disparate in any way. I'm not gonna play a deck you would make.
With the standard metagame, I wouldn't criticize anyone for playing whatever they were playing. In all honesty, you couldn't necessarily constructed like 100% foolproof argument to be like, oh, you should not play deck XYZ for this.
Yeah. No,
it'd be super hard.
I think both of these formats are just like you play what you know, and that's probably going to give you the best chance to
exactly.
win.
In the modern, like you can't do that. You can't just be like, well, I wouldn't play XYZ because XYZ. Like. You play to what you know.
I'd like to play YYZ on Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah, it's a great song. Jeez. So yeah, I think the Invitational is going to be fun. It's nice that it's here. It's nice that I can go home and sleep in my own bed, which I'm always a fan of. So, and plus it's around Origins, so like high five on free access to Origins. Yeah. It's always sweet. That wasn't a high five you heard. That was Dave dropping his cell phone.
I went to get the high five from Dave, and Dave forgot he had his phone and just dropped it.
Sad face.
That was the best high five of them all. The phone to ground.
Phone to ground high five. Is it all right? Is it safe?
No, it's good.
Okay, good. That'd be really sad if it broke. But yeah, we'll obviously, again, if you see us there, come say hi. We'll give you a high five too, fist bump or whatever. I don't know where you've been. Sorry, that's too judgmental.
Wow. I mean, you literally will have hand sanitizer hanging from your shoulder.
That's
so
true.
Please give him a hug.
Give him a hug.
Maybe a little kiss on the cheek.
No kiss.
Hey, if they're European, maybe it's European greeting. I don't know.
It's true. Fair enough.
So and you have to deal with it. You have to smile, and then you'll see Morgan running to the bathroom.
That's not true.
Like.
Anyway, so Dave, we have this going to turn segment that apparently you have prepared some spicy questions for us.
I have.
Okay.
All right. So for those that don't know, we do this every now and then, going to turns. It's basically a 5-pack of questions, and I'm going to moderate here. So I'm going to go back and forth between Mike and Morgan with these questions, and then I'm going to award a point based on whose answer I like better. So we're going to start off. We'll start off with Mike because Morgan's doing something with it.
Well, I think he's getting the timer set up.
Oh, I got the timer.
Oh, man.
don't worry.
Never mind.
prepared.
Your phone's not broken?
Oh, man.
I don't know. Hopefully it still works.
Look at me with egg on my face.
These are invitational themed, yes?
Yeah, so it's...
Let me get my water. I gotta take a drink here.
You're going to second anyway. It's fine. So, yeah, it's centered around the invitational. You'll have 20 seconds to answer each question with your best response, and then we'll go ahead and pick a winner after. All right.
All right.
So question 1. What is the best card in Standard and why?
I mean, I think the best card in Standard, regardless of what your personal preference is still Siege Rhino. The entire format's defined by it. It's a 4-drop, there's a huge body, it has a huge life swing. It gives decks that don't normally have reach, and it said every deck is judged by it right now. That's our Jace test in this format. Can you either race a Siege Rhino, or can you consistently kill a Siege Rhino?
All right, Morgan.
I would still. I mean, I would say Ojutai. Ojutai just feels like an insanely powerful card. It gets splashed in decks that don't even like naturally are able to cast it, like Abzan splash Ojutai, which I've seen, and it kills people and it draws you cards. It does exactly what you want to do for Standard. And in a vacuum, I think it's just the most powerful card.
I do like both responses. Oh, whoa. All right, there we go. I do like both responses. I'm going to go with Mike, barely. Yeah. And the only reason for that...
I'll take barely.
No, the only reason for that is because I feel like Esper Dragons has fallen off a little bit in the last couple of weeks, and Abzan I feel like has been the king for a long time, really, but especially right now. So we're going to go with Mike, but barely.
Actually, the true answer was Den Protector. I messed up.
Could have been Thoughtseize.
I might have given you that one.
Could have been Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
All right, so Morgan, you'll start this one.
Gotcha.
All right.
1-0.
Question 2. We're still on standard here. What do you expect to be the most played standard deck at the Invitational?
Absent control. I feel like it's going to be a lot of people's fallback. I feel like, with the argument of Siege Rhino, I feel like a lot of people think that that's the most powerful deck still, and at least the most consistent deck. And then with Den Protector as being, again, another very powerful card, you can easily configure that deck to what you need it to be.
All right, Mike?
I think it's going to go a little bit smaller. I think it's Abs and aggro. I think of a number of the Abs and mid-range and control list fighting against each other, and Abs and aggro can still just play this game that goes underneath them and can still go over as well. I think you'll see the return of Ringmate Rock in those decks as well, so see a little bit of change, but I think Abs and aggro is once again going to show itself as the deck that's the most resilient despite all the metagame changes.
I'm going to go with Morgan on this one. Again, barely. The two very good responses. I think the one thing that Morgan said that I completely agree with is that I feel like Abs and Control is a more consistent deck. And I think in a tournament like this, I feel like players would lean more towards the more consistency. Abs and Aggro is still very good, but the mana base is a little frustrating sometimes.
I think I lost that point due to personal preference. Abs and aggro is a good deck for me. I can't give that point. I see how this works.
I mean, you should have chose a different deck. I don't
You got to
know.
play the
I don't know what to
judge.
tell you.
What else could I have what else could I have chosen there that would have been arguable?
No, it was a good response.
Okay.
All right. So it's 1-1. All right. So we're going to go into a couple modern questions here. So, Mike, we'll go back to you here. What's the best card in modern and why?
Best card in modern right now, and you're like this, Dave, is Tassiger. Alex's article today, I mentioned, if again, premium, buy it. The first 9 or so lists mentioned Tassiger in them. It's infinitely splashable. It's a Tarmogoyf that can't be abrupt decayed. It has a relevant ability, in colors that don't normally get that ability. I think it's there.
All right, Morgan.
I actually think the one of the best cards in standard, not standard, modern right now is Amulet. The sheer power that the deck presents and the warpedness of that combo deck, and how it can just kill people so quickly, I think it definitely makes people need to focus on it.
That was definitely an interesting choice, Morgan. The correct answer is Lightning Bolt, but I'm gonna go with Mike. I do feel like Tassiger is obviously in Grixis Delver, Grixis Twin.
John and
Abzan. Amulet is an interesting card. I don't feel like it's the most powerful. It could probably be in the most powerful deck. I guess,
what makes that deck a deck.
Yes, I agree with that. But I feel like overall, like I said, Lightning Bolt for me, like Grixis Delver, Jund, Burn. These are all, I feel like, top 5 or 6 decks.
You did have a really good answer.
Yeah, we didn't ask you. You're asking us.
All right. That's true. All right, Mike, you get the point.
Yeah, I was
2-1, Mike.
I was dancing all through that answer. Like Morgan stuttered and then said Amulet, and I was just like, oh man, I got this. Ding.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Morgan, there's still time here. We have 2 more questions.
Oh, I know.
All right. Question 4. What do you expect to be the most played modern deck at the Invitational?
Man, that is an extremely difficult question. I think it's going to be Grixis Delver, just for the sheer fact that it is accessible. It's not as expensive as a lot of the other decks that are actually there, and a lot of people might have the expensive pieces being Snapcaster Mages. So I feel like it's most accessible and has a higher win percentage out of the rest of the field in Modern.
Playing the judge. All right.
Again.
You're playing the stats. I mean, look at Magic
No.
Online.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
But if we're going to play the stats, then you asked the deck that will show up the most.
Yes.
It is, as it has been for 2 years in Modern, it's Blue-Red Twin. That's what it is. That has been the most consistent version of Twin. I'm not saying it's the best deck, but it is the most consistent, steady. People go to that deck. The people have had the cards forever, if you're going to make that argument for Delver, but it is the one that always puts up the most numbers. It always sneaks one in the top 16, etc.
So, I know you guys don't care about my opinion. I wouldn't have picked either of those, but I'm actually going to go with Morgan.
Whatever.
I feel like Blue-Red Twin has taken a hit recently.
But you asked the most played.
That's true.
You didn't ask for
That's
the best.
true. I do think
ranks this.
I do think Grixis
Sorry,
Delver would be
I'm
more
sorry. You have
played.
to edit that.
Why am I punished?
Because you got a point.
No, I do think Grixis Delver would be more played than just straight blue-red twin. And I won't tell you what deck I think, because
It was
you guys
Jund.
will yell
We get
at
it.
me.
You said Lightning Bolt.
No,
It's Jund.
no, I think it'll be Burn actually.
See, I don't think so. There's a million Kitchen Finks in the format all of a sudden.
I think burn is. I don't feel like cost is as much as a prohibitor in the Invitational.
That's true, but the people who don't play Modern regularly can pick up a Burn deck and be like,
And
I can probably do reasonably well with this.
But I think you defeat that argument with your answer for what's the best card in Modern. You said Lightning Bolt, and the thing that even the article I was talking about today, they mentioned this. He mentions this idea that if most of the top, if you're playing against all the Delver decks have Bolt, all the Twin decks have Bolt, all the Jund decks have Bolt, then it makes the reach of Burn a lot less, because then people are consistently killing Goblin Guide or Eidolon in turn 1 and turn 2. Okay. So I actually think that defeats that argument.
I could see that. I don't think that'll stop people from playing the deck. All right. Last question here. So it's 2-2
For all the marbles.
for all the marbles. Morgan, who will win the Invitational?
Dang it. I'm going to go with CVM, actually. I feel like he's been putting a lot of effort into both Standard and Modern, and I feel that he's very confident with both the decks that he's planning on bringing. I know he's definitely planning on bringing Bloom into the deck, and I feel to the tournament. So,
All right, Mike.
I'm going to go with a guy who was in the Players Championship last year, and it just keeps showing up on the points board. I'm going to go with Kevin Jones. Like, the guy just he's always there, like in 9th, 10th. Like, oh, top 8 here, top 16 here. The guy has just consistently put up a good performance, and I think could be a chance to break through and make sure that he is going to be on that championship. He's already shown he wants it.
Oh, man. This one's tough.
Tough.
This one's really tough.
Neither of them were very good. I don't feel like neither of the answers.
You went to
very
Amulet
good.
Bloom again. What is wrong with you?
I feel like that
Why
deck's
don't you play
really
that
powerful.
deck if you love it so much?
No, I hate that deck.
Well, then stop. Never mind.
I respect the power.
I'm not going to make you
represents.
edit things again.
Thank you.
See, I don't want to do the half-point thing to go to the tiebreaker as much as I would like to.
What?
Because that would
Sorry,
be
you
kind of
don't
lame.
want to go to the tiebreaker?
Why don't you want to go to the
I
tiebreaker?
totally want to go to the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker is the best
tiebreaker.
part of
Yeah.
ours.
All right.
Yeah, go to
but
the
we can't
tiebreaker.
do it every time, because then it just gets played out. Then people are going to expect it to be a tiebreaker.
But we don't do this
Yeah,
segment enough.
we haven't done this segment since Cedric was on. Come on, go to the. We want.
Okay.
Neither of us will
right.
accept the point. We want to be 2-2.
All right. Okay, fine. It's split.
Yeah. All right.
I like Morgan's answer because I do agree CVM has been putting in a lot of work into both formats. And I do like Mike's answer because I was thinking of like what finishes has Kevin Jones had in Modern, but he actually has been doing very well in a lot of the Modern IQs.
Yeah, he just said, like, if you could just go back and look, his name is just always there.
Yeah.
Like, I will say he hasn't won all of them, but his name is just always there. He's always in both formats.
I'm a little surprised that neither of you said Jacob Wilson to run it back, since Modern is his format.
But
Yeah.
yes, that's true.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I don't know how he'll do post pod. I don't know.
He did top 8 a Pro Tour without Pod, but
I don't know.
just saying.
All right, random card.
All right, rando cards. It's going to take a minute. Hold on.
Rando card receipt.
Okay, so for those people who don't know what we're doing here, I'm going to gather, and I'm picking a random card, and these two guys are going to debate the playability of this card if it were in Standard. And pulling it up now. Oh, all right, this is an easy one. You won't have to. This isn't very obscure. All right, so the card is Seal of Fire. It is a red enchantment, so it costs 1 red enchantment, and has sacrifice Seal of Fire. Seal of Fire deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Mike, go.
This one's easy. I have played this card personally. It's the same reason you would play like a Tarfire. It is an enchantment that's a shock. You know what enchantments and shocks do? Grow your Tarmogoyf in Zoo, and that's why you play this card. You're like, oh, shoot you for 2, attack you for this. Oh, look, plump it because I have an enchantment in the graveyard. What could be better about that? Not to mention the fact you get a little rattlesnake. It's a little on the stick there. Like, I could use this too whenever I want to. Doesn't have to be now. Could be at any point. So,
right. Ding, ding, ding. I forgot
good.
to start the timer. Sorry.
Oh,
All right,
thanks
Morgan.
for ringing the bell,
Go ahead.
Apollo.
yeah. I mean, this one's pretty easy. I mean, obviously, you like to have an effect that you can play early and has still some efficacy later on in the game, and that's what this card actually provides. The seals have actually seen modern play, including Seal of Primordium, so it doesn't make that much of a leap to say that this one is still modern playable.
All right, you both lose because I said standard playable.
Oh.
You guys both had
whoops.
modern arguments.
Well, I'm confused. It's not legal.
We had modern on the
It's not
line.
legal in standard.
No, I know, but I'm saying if it were legal in standard, that was.
Oh, is that actually the
that's what we
question?
done. Yes.
I did not pay attention at all.
Do we do
did
another
not.
one? Do we have to do another one?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, I award no points.
Man, we're really bad.
May
at
God
this.
have mercy on your soul. Oh, I can't believe we're doing this again.
Sorry,
All right.
the Indians won. I was excited.
I'm glad we both made the mistake, though. I really wish that I hadn't, because I would have won.
No, because one of us would have looked really bad then. Solidarity.
All right.
So standard.
Okay, standard.
Standard.
Okay.
Hold on.
He's not liking it. He's.
Okay.
This is
All right.
integrity of the game.
All right, no, I got it pulled up here. All right, here's the new card. All right. The card is Twilight Drover. It is white, 2 colorless for a creature spirit, 1/1. Whenever a creature token leaves play, put a +1/+1 counter on Twilight Drover. Also has the ability of 2 and a white, remove a +1/+1 counter from Twilight Drover to put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying into play. Morgan, will go with you.
Okay, sweet. So with this card, you could actually play it with the Abzan Ascendancy, right? And just kind of go off with all your creatures, correct? Am I not wrong there? So make all your guys bigger and everything like that, and then when your creatures die in your creature list, then your Twilight Drover just gets bigger. So I think that's kind of where you would want to put that in. As far as that's because it's too bad we don't have very many good sacrifice effects in the format. I feel like that's
All
where
right,
we
ding,
kind of
ding, ding.
struggle. So
I forgot to start the timer again.
Way to go.
Whoa, what happened? Sorry, guys.
Dave doesn't know where he is anymore.
Yeah.
Who, where, why?
Wow, what the heck happened to this? All right. Sorry, my timers got all messed up somehow. Probably, I don't know. All right, Mike, go ahead.
So there was a deck featured on Channel Fireball last week that was red white tokens doing well in on Moto right now, playing the Great Teacher's Decree and every token effect in the format. Twilight Drover would be beautiful here. It also plays Perforos out of the board. Tell me Twilight Drover is actually not unreal with Perforos. Oh, you killed my tokens? I'm gonna make more and shoot you for 2.
All right. I'm going to go with Mike on this one.
That's fair.
For the sole fact that I didn't know what Abzan Ascendancy did, but I looked it up, and really only half of it works with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
It
the good
doesn't work
half.
when token creatures leave.
No, but
are
I mean,
the
your other creatures that you have will when they die, they'll generate tokens, which help Twilight Drover.
Keep on fighting.
But it's fine. No, I concede. I agree that deck was good.
Was it a lot closer than you thought it would be? Put up a
Yes.
good fight, Morgan. That was
Oh
good.
yeah, it was good. It was fairly impressive.
No time for losing.
We get it. You won. You don't
Discuss
get to sing. Wait, you can't sing that. We could get like copyright struck or
Oh
something.
no,
like
it wasn't full 30 seconds. I
He
stopped.
cut it off in 28 seconds.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, that was a very fun and exciting going to turns. Let's go ahead and wrap everything up. So obviously we've talked about it to death, but the Invitational is this weekend. End of season 2 for Star City Games. We hope that we all 3 win it. We have a group win. They let you do that, right? Yeah. Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, then we'll get top 4, and then maybe we'll split prize, and then play for
No.
play for glory.
Splitting is against the integrity of the game.
That's right. It's true. Yeah, we can't do that, and all the pros would be angry.
We don't want to anger the Platinum Pros.
No, not at all. So that's what happening this weekend. Now, there's going to be a PPTQ at Comic Town. It's going to be a modern format one. It's going to be a 1K, and it's going to be on June 13th. So definitely check that out if you're not going to GP Charlotte. So you have to be Dave in the finals, probably.
I'll be the end boss. It's okay.
Yeah.
Unless it's Bobby, and then I don't know.
Then what happened? It's like the rubber match because I beat him, and he beat me the next week.
Bobby Ding.
Yeah, there we go.
We got there. It was near the end, but
we're actually planning on it to always be at the end, so that you have to listen to the whole episode. So deal with it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna mention your name at your end.
Now that he knows that, though, he's just gonna skip to the end. So now we're gonna have to put it somewhere.
We'll mix it up.
This is like playing Find the Saltine.
And then that same weekend, Comic Town's also going to be running Modern Masters F&M Draft.
Man, we're missing all the sweet stuff.
I know.
I mean, I'm excited for Charlotte.
I'm super excited for Charlotte.
Like, what? Oh,
so, yeah, it's pretty rough, but you guys get to take advantage of it because, we won't be there.
And that's the absent advantage.
That's true. All right, guys. Well, that'll be this episode of At Your End Step. We'll catch you guys next time, and you have a great one. Bye.